Today's episode is brought to you by Musical Theater Radio's merch store. Looking for that perfect gift for someone or just want to treat yourself to some great musical theater themed merch? Head to musicaltheaterradio.com and click on the All Things Theater button on the homepage and check out all the different designs available. And now, today's interview. Welcome back to another episode of Be Our Guest here on Musical Theater Radio. I am your host, as always, Jean-Paul Jovanoff. If you are looking for a musical to see, today's episode is for you. If you are near Las Positas College in California, March 21st to the 30th, check out the workshop production of Suenos, Our American Musical. To tell us a little bit more about the show is the creator, Jesse J Sanchez, and members of the production. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
There.
Hello.
Awesome. All right. So I always ask for a 30-second bio. And Jesse, it's great to see you again. You've been on this. You know what you're doing. You're an expert. Guide them through this with your 30-second bio of who's Jesse.
Yeah, sure. Hi. Thanks for having me again. And so excited for everything that's happening at Musical Theater Radio. My name is Jesse Sanchez. I am the book, lyricist, and composer of Suenos, Our American Musical. I'm excited to be here, and I have another musical that I've been working on called Zapata, which I think we've talked about at some point. And I started this musical about 7.5, almost 8 years ago. Has been workshopped all over the country, including at NAMT, the Orchard Project, Johnny Mercer Writers Grove, at Goodspeed Musicals, and a bunch of other cool places. So now we're here at Las Positas, taking the next step in the journey and doing a workshop production with this amazing director, cast, and creative team.
Awesome, Jesse. I'm so happy when I love it when I see the journey of the shows, when I first meet them and they're getting workshops and I'm going along. Congratulations.
Totally. And I should also shout out New York Theater Barn because they were really a big, huge supporter. Joe Barros and Hector over there at New York Theater Barn have been a big shepherd of the show.
For sure. All right. So we're going to ask for 30 seconds bios from everybody. So Karina, let's start with you. Who are you in 30 seconds?
Hi, well, first and foremost, thank you for having me. My name is Karina Gutierrez, and I have the honor of serving as the director of this workshop production. I'm also a Bay Area-based director, dramaturg, and scholar. I myself am a first-generation Latina artist who's committed to fostering local artists and really work in the intersection of politics and performance in both my scholarly work and my artistic work. In addition to serving as a director, dramaturg, I'm also a professor at UC Berkeley in the Department of Theater, Dance, and Performance Studies. Not sure if that was 30 seconds, but I'll go with that.
It was like 27 and a half. So if you wanted to throw one more thing in.
I'm so happy to be here.
That was perfect. It was, I think, 31 seconds. So I might have to cut off the here part of that last sentence, but we'll roll with it. That's okay. Scout, 30 seconds. Who are you, Scout?
Hi, my name is Scout Del Real. I am a student at Las Positas College. I am in my second year as a student and my first year in their Actors Conservatory program. I am in the ensemble of Suenos. I'm also their dance captain, which has been really fun and really exciting. Yes, thank you, Jackie. Let's see what else about me. This is my very first production at Las Positas. It's about to be one of many. It's kind of crazy how just in the span of one semester, I went from being in no shows to, gosh, so many at once. I'm very excited to my future at Las Positas. But before this, I have been all over the East Bay area. I spent the majority of my last year at Berkeley Playhouse. I've also done some stuff with Cine Rep and Town Hall Theater. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
Fantastic. Well, Jackie, you've been mentioned by name. Let's find out who you are.
Okay. Hi, I am Jackie Garcia. I play Desiree in Suenos, Ali's younger sister. I also go to Las Positas College. I'm on my second year of the Actors Conservatory, and I will be graduating in May. I've gotten so many cool opportunities there, and I'm ending my kind of time at LOSPO playing Elena Popova in The Bear, and then Hermia this summer in Midsummer Night's Dream. So I've had a really fulfilling season, and I think Suenos is my cherry on top, even though it's first. Oh, my cat is attacking me. He wants But yeah, that's a little bit about me. So, hi, I'm so happy to be here and talk this morning.
Live theater, I love it. Even in the live podcast, cats, they find a way to be on. Eddie, round us out. Who are you?
Cool. Hi, my name is Eddie Flores. I am born and raised from Watsonville, California, which is where this musical actually takes place. And I'm a master's student over at San Jose State University, getting my degree in music education. And I also work as a teaching artist here in Santa Cruz County and in Santa Clara County. Um, I get to run the musicals over at Watsonville High School. So we actually have auditions today for the Addams Family, and I'm also currently directing Hadestown with a teen group over in Santa Cruz. And I've gotten to be a part of some cool national tours. Once Evil Dead the musical, and I was also a part of a recent out-of-state production of Spring Awakening that involved deaf, hard of hearing, and hearing actors performing the show in both English and American Sign Language. And I'm just really excited to be here.
Very nice. Well, I have the connection with Evil Dead. I saw the second production here in Toronto when it was first born. So have fun with it. It is such
Oh
a
yeah,
great show.
it was a ton of fun, and George Reinblatt was really kind and was actually wrote us an updated script for our tour, so that was really fun to be a part of.
Very nice. All right, Jesse, let's find out from you. How did this production come about? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, yeah. So I think you remember we released the concept EP, which plays here on this station quite a few times. And so we released that back at the end of 2023, 2024 sometime. And a lot of people really responded to it quite well, and a lot of text messages, emails, messages on Instagram, all the thing. And so I got a text from Titian Lish, who is the department chair here at Las Positas for the theater department, and she texted me and she said, "Jesse, I'm listening to this album, and holy beep, it's so good." She's like, "I really want to do this show. Like, please let us know when we can license it." And so I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Yeah, thank you so much." I was like, "But I won't be ready for licensing for quite a while, probably, hopefully. That's the dream." I said, "But we're looking for our next stage of development, and I would love to pitch you like an idea about this workshop production to kind of get this version of the script on its feet, utilize your actors conservatory." And I already had a pre-existing relationship with Tish, and I worked at Las Positas. I think like in 2017, 18, I conducted their version of Evita there. And so I was like, this is going to be great. Like if we can get this there, they have their actors conservatory, they have a lot of great resources, and they have a really cool theater space. And so I pitched it to her. She said, "Great, let's have a chat." So we got on a call, and we talked through, and she said, "What's your wish? What's your dream? How can I support? Let me take this back." And so we met, I would say, over a year and a half ago, just kind of talking about that stuff. And I didn't hear from her for a second. So I said, "Oh, maybe it's not going to happen. It's all good." And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, my agent called and said, "Hey, so Tisha wants to move forward with this." And I said, "Oh, okay. So here we go." So she said, "Who do you want to direct?" And I immediately thought of Karina, because I met Karina a couple years, or about a year before that. Because I was talking to Santa Clara University about doing a similar thing, and I had met Karina there, who worked there, and I was like, "You have to get her. Like this doesn't work unless you get her." So, I immediately, I think, texted Karina or messaged her on Facebook. It was like, "Hey, I want you to do this thing." And so here we are. Like, we open in a couple of weeks, huh? And that's the opening number. Here we are. And it's been, such an incredible journey to get to this point. As you know, musicals take so long to get to like a real stage. And so I feel like with the pandemic, being a year and a half of no momentum, it really, I say 7.5 years, but it really feels like we're on year 5, year 6 of this thing, just because of that pandemic right in the middle of it. So it's really exciting to see everything kind of go up on its feet. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't ask for more. We get a stage, some costumes, a 9-piece band, a conductor. So me and Jeff Chambers, who I should also shout out, is our orchestrator and has done a lot of the additional music on this. He's like fast and furiously writing and creating orchestrations as we speak. So I'm really excited to see it. So that's kind of how we got to this point.
Well, Karina, let's jump to you now. Jesse's brought you up. You got the phone call or the email from him. You got contacted. How much did you know about the show already?
I mean, from our initial conversations, I had a premise, but I didn't know the full story. And so I love new play development. That's really my passion. And so when I got the call and I heard that it would be in development, I immediately jumped at the opportunity. A, because it's a really incredible and important story to tell, especially at this current juncture. But B, how often do you get to assemble a team of Latinx artists to shape a story from beginning to end? And so I felt incredibly honored to be a part of that process and immediately felt an immense responsibility and obligation to really create a space in which people could play and speak to their own lived experience and how it mirrors the piece or how we can strengthen the piece, as well as sharing my own cultural background, which I hadn't in all of my years as a director, dramaturg, and even a scholar really been allowed to explore in such an embodied practice. So I felt extraordinarily honored, and every week has been a true joy to really chisel, to really play, to really ask those juicy questions, and essentially collaborate with a room such an incredibly dedicated artists.
Fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about the show and how it affects the Karina. We're going to start with you, and we'll work our way around to the rest of the members. Um, what is it about the show that touches you? What is there something in it that you go, yes, I recognize that in me? And because we're all in, different points in our lives, different experiences. I'd love to hear from each one of you, but let's start with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I myself thought I was going to go to Broadway and be the next Sutton Foster at 18. I wanted that for myself. And what I really quickly found out was the road to success, as we understand it, is very different for people that look like me. And I felt really hindered by the stories that were being told about my community or how I was being perceived on stage. To this day, to have a person of color take the stage, I consider that to still be a radical act. And so I knew that it was going to be a very different path for me. And my love of directing came because I felt I had somewhat plateaued as an actor, to be quite honest with you, in terms of opportunities. But what really inspires me about this piece is that it has a few leading questions that I think are at the core of who I am as a artist of color, which is, does leaving home translate to a dream deferred or a dream defined? I started off thinking I needed to assimilate or to essentially become someone that was more akin to what Broadway wanted or what I thought Broadway wanted. But what I realized was that in looking around at my hometown of Arvin, California, which, is a little smaller than Watsonville, it's about 20,000, somewhere near Bakersfield, California, that when you look around, the inspiration and the true genius of what it means to be an artist has always been in your family, in your DNA, and the stories we tell each other and tell others. And if you can take that with you, you not only have something unique, but you have something important that the world needs to learn about. And I feel that this is absolutely a cornerstone of the story that is Sueños.
Well, Scott, let's jump to you next. Is there a moment in the show that you can, that you feel, reflects your experiences? And tell us about, when you read it and how you felt.
I'm not sure if I can speak so much to the play itself, but I could certainly speak to the process. I'm not sure that the book of the play is something that I perfectly relate to entirely, but I will say that it's been a both a tremendous honor and a tremendous responsibility in a way, to finally, for the first time, be in a production that celebrates an aspect of my identity that I hadn't really taken full ownership of for the majority of my life. It's really only recently that I started taking pride in my Mexicanness, and mostly for the fact that, I'm half Mexican. I'm from a no sabe household. No one in my family speaks Spanish. Uh, for generational reasons. My grandparents didn't want my uncle and my dad to be learning Spanish at home. It was always English first. It was always America first.
Hmm.
And in a way, that sort of ethos you can kind of see that a little bit in the story of Sueños as well. Um, and so, and I grew up in suburbia. I grew up surrounded by, whiteness and white culture, and just sort of feeling like I just assimilated relatively easily in that. I was never looked at before as a person of color, as Chicano, as Mexican. And so, now that I'm starting to take more ownership of that, it's been such a unique and awesome experience to be in a room full of people, full of, all kinds of Latinas and people of color in general, who all sort of have these different experiences of what it means to be a person of color, and especially what it means to be Mexican. There are people who grew up super duper within the culture. There are people who grew up super white passing but speak fluent Spanish at home. There are people who, there are so many different aspects and perspectives within our cast that it's just been such an amazing experience to experience and be a part of. And I think in a way that experience kind of highlights the overall story of Sueños.
Very nice. Jackie, let's hear from you. What kind of experience are you getting from it? What can you relate to it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that there's a lots of um, things in Sueños that I find myself connecting to each rehearsal, even if it's not something that I'm singing. I'm like, oh my gosh, so real. And so I think that this show is definitely a spectrum. I mean, I think anybody who comes to see this show, but especially people who are like Hispanic or Latino, Latina, I think that they're really going to resonate with this show in some way. And then there's such like a fun, like awkward quality about a lot of these characters. I mean, some of the dialogue that they have, you're like, oh, okay, like that's a really real thing to say. Like it's so silly, it's so quirky. And I think like I find myself in rehearsal kind of just looking around, and I cry a lot. So sometimes I like look around and I'm like, oh girl, like I'm about to start crying because like this is so special. And like, I don't know, but I think that I just take away like the connection with the cast. I mean, even if it's just in the green room and we're like ranting about something or we're talking, I feel so connected because I think that shows like this bring people together in so many ways. I mean, there's so many of the adult characters that I don't think I would ever cross their path without this show, or even like people like Edie, who, it's like I've almost met him, but not really. But now we're working together, and he's such like a special like friend to have, and Karina and Jesse. So I think I'm really grateful, and I feel really honored to have made so many wonderful connections through the show, and that's something I feel like resonates a lot, even within the script and the text. So yeah.
Eddie, yourself, is there anything in the script or the show that resonates with you as well?
Where to begin with that one? So as as I said the first day of our reading was that it's just been a trip reading the show about that's set in Watsonville. There's scenes literally at my high school where I went to, and we mentioned Cabrillo, which is where I went to community college, and and it's just been a wonderful experience getting to be around a Latine cast like that alone is like so it's so different, and getting to have people, and it's also an artistic team and writer of the show that understands who I am, but like the my cultural parts of myself from specifically like Mexican and like Chicano culture, like that having people that understand that, and like getting to even just speak English and Spanish in rehearsal, little things like that, like really make a difference for my experience in musical and like in theater. Um, and then with Ali, him being such a forward person about music, like that's my degree too, is like music education. That's kind of been my life, and those it's so interesting how that has paralleled in this show. I love that Ali gets to experience. I mean, everyone does, but Ali's journey with grief in the show is also one that I felt I can really relate to. When I was his age, I was dealing with a lot of things that at the time that they kind of made me question what life is all about, and what how to move forward and things like that without spoiling too much. Um, and gosh, I just think it's been wonderful getting to see projects like this being made more recently where it questions what is American theater and just letting people know that we are a part of that experience as well and that getting to have our stories told on stage with also music that is more contemporary with a mix of music that you might hear say like on Mexican radio and or um, groups that you would hear otherwise like in Watsonville. Like I hear sounds in that score that I have music that I hear here. So it's like having that mix with like stuff that like little things in the score where I'm like, oh, it kind of reminds me of like Dear Evan Hansen. It kind of reminds me of Hamilton a bit in the Heights, right? So it's like getting that culmination is kind of what that the idea of like I guess the melting pot, quote unquote, is kind of an example of that. And I love that seeing that on stage and us getting to experience that music. And I actually like uh just this I've kind of sort of followed the show a little bit where like I followed Jesse for a while where I was like, "Oh, he's writing the show." And correct me if I'm wrong, Jesse, but didn't this show have a different name before?
It did, yeah, it did,
Right?
and I changed it. Actually, it's had two different names before.
I could
Uh,
yeah. I remember and then I actually got to meet Jesse when he was working the first time that Jesse and I met was in when he was working in Watsonville for a brief period with Watsonville High's production of In the Heights. And I had just started working at Watsonville High School, so I was kind of like that those years later, and then years later now coming to this, we're like, oh, hey, look at that. Who would have thought that this is how we would have ended up reconnecting? And so it's just been kind of a cool thing growing up and then like seeing the show grow up in a way too. To now this and yeah.
It's crazy how theater, it's a huge world, but it's so small.
Yes.
We all
Oh,
cross
absolutely.
paths every time, all the time. Jesse, you've had many, workshops and productions and moments working with different, performers, getting your stuff out there and hearing it out of the words, the mouths of them. What have you noticed? Is there something in this production during rehearsal that you've been just surprised by, like, oh, they got this, or I didn't think of that, but they brought something else to it. I'd love to hear your response to that.
Yeah. I've been super blessed like to take this all over and have, amazing people like Dorian Montavo, Eliseo Roman, Lady Janelle,
Mhm.
a lot of wonderful people, but I've also had amazing people that are right in the Bay Area be able to read this, like the Eddie Flores, Jackie Garcia, Scott Del Reals, right? Like to be able to really embody what this story is, because it's right there, right? Watsonville to Las Positas is like a 45-minute drive, or maybe depending on traffic. Right, it's in their backyard, so they know the references immediately, right? Like they know some of these, like just the location, the place, or even if they don't, they can figure out because they probably go home and ask their parents or ask whoever, like, oh, what is that? Oh, okay. And also having Karina in the room is super has been so important, because she embodies this shit stuff and lives and sorry, and embodies all this stuff, and she understands every cultural reference and a lot of the things, and I think it's what's really cool about this and really unique about this particular moment is there are a lot of things that are from the 90s sayings, words. So I think it's really cool to be able to see this cast who half of them are younger folks like 18, 19, who don't know those particular references, right? Or like, oh yeah, this was a thing. And so being able to see like us kind of relive the 90s in a way, it's kind of really special to because I love the 90s and I grew up in the 90s, so it's kind of nostalgic for me. Or like even just like the simple like rubber bands on jeans, like nobody knows about that, that's not in the script, but like stuff like that, right? Like those are very Bay Area, South Bay, like San Jose, Watsonville, Gilroy, very specific to that time. And so it's really cool. And and my job as the writer is to like be so specific but also be able to have this as a universal kind of story, right? Because at the end of the day, it's about a family, right? The story is about a family. Somebody has a dream, somebody wants to go do this thing, and there's barriers in front of them. Family, society, all those things, right? So when we take the big scope out, it is for everybody, but it's through a specific lens. And so just seeing this cast, I'm really excited because I join them next week for an extended period. And so I'll get to be there and really hear more of what's coming to life. But it's always my favorite when I get new rewrites, new scene changes, questions. That's the process, right? Because we're just making it as best as we can. So it's really excited to have their stamp on this as we continue this journey.
Very cool. I'm going to go around the horn backwards this time. So the four of you, and just quick, there's so many great songs in the show, but is there one that, Edie, we're going to start with you. Is there one that, touches you or makes you laugh or not necessarily your favorite, but just something about it that, you really like?
On top of the experiences that are spoken about in this story, I also really love we actually get to hear a bit about the queer experience in this show. Um, and I love the song Big Brown Eyes, and because it kind of it's a beautiful song, first of all, Jesse. Thank you so much. And I love getting to hear Jackie sing it. And like I said, I'm just happy that the queer experience gets to be shown on stage in this story as well. Just kind of allows us to take a different look at a bunch of different topics in the show. And yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Jackie, yourself?
Yeah. I think I say this anytime someone asks me, but it's always been To Win You. That song, I think, is actually musical theater perfection. I just, literally, the first time I remember listening to it, I was sobbing in the back seat of the car, and like one of my friends turns around and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, no, I'm not." I feel like that song is just so beautiful, and oh, it's so perfect. And yeah, To Win You, hands down. Go listen, stream. Yeah.
And you can't stream it. Yeah, that was gonna say
Yeah.
you can't stream that one.
Scout, yourself?
Oh gosh, Jackie kind of stole mine. To Win You really is a masterpiece. It really is brilliant to listen to the sort of call and response of both the English, the sort of modern generation, and the Spanish, the sort of more old country language. But for the sake of being original, I'll probably go with oh gosh, They Will See. I will probably go with the classic Hero's Journey I Want song. I love a good I Want song. There's something always so powerful about standing up for having. That's something I've always loved about musical theater, is the fact that it is a structure. I've always loved the fact that you always know what everyone wants all the time, and They Will See, I think, does such a good job at really illustrating sort of the path that that Ali is going on, and the path that he is so desperate to pursue. I'll also make a quick note about probably the most fun and the boppiest song in the show, which is probably "I'm Your Guy." I am a huge fan of the sort of NSYNC Backstreet Boys style of it. The dancing is incredible. I get so jealous that I don't get to dance in it. I'm always asking the rest of the ensemble, like, teach me the dance, teach me a dance. So I'll go with those two to make up for to make up for Jackie stealing my idea.
Karina, yourself, what's there a song that touches
it changes every day.
Mhm.
Once you really dig into the music and you make those discoveries that are in between the lines, you go, oh, this might be my favorite. Oh, I've unlocked a new level. This might be my favorite. I will echo what folks have said. To Win You was probably one of the first songs that said, yes, this musical right here, because I feel like it really showcases the vulnerability, the masculine vulnerability that we don't often get a chance to explore. And it really showcases that this is also a journey and a story between father and son, which is quite stunning. And then we were also really looking at Someday, which is Eddie's personal journey of grief. And we get to see an exploration of a few stages of grief within one song, and how powerful 3-4 verses mean for one character's journey and resolution.
You know what, Jesse? I'm going to put you on the spot. You're not supposed to be able to pick your favorite child, but you know what? We all have one. So what is your one? What is your song?
Okay, I'll give you two.
Okay.
My favorite orchestrations right now, just like hearing, because I get to hear all the orchestrations, or me and Jeff meet at like midnight drinking, some wine and talking through what is this journey for this orchestration? How do we want it? Whatever. Time to Go. I really love Time to Go right now. It's the end of Act One. It's the finale of Act One. There's just something like when I say this to Karina and Jeff. I really speak in like pop culture terms, and I think the cast can kind of see that in my writing. Like I just love pop culture references, and so I'm like, Jeff, I really want this to be like Goo Goo Dolls meets like I don't know, like the end of Act One to Hamilton or something like that. Like I really love to mirror some of that stuff, but also, justify it and make sure there's a little Jesse in it. So I really love that. But I think, I'll share a little bit personal of myself. Like Someday, I think is my ultimate favorite song. It's not perfect. I haven't even heard the orchestrations, but I think I would have never been able to write that song if I didn't actually experience that in my own personal life. And so Someday is the point in the story where the mother of Ali dies, Lupe, and in musical theater it's like, okay, you got to fall in love in 3 minutes and ready go, or you got to deal with grief in 4 minutes, ready go. So it really took me some time. I didn't know what was going to be in that moment. There was a different song, and I sat down one day. I was like, I'm going to write this song. I want to hear what Ali has to say. And like I said, I don't think I would be able to write that song unless I went through that experience. And shout out to my mom. She's the one who gave me the title of the show. Uh, when I was going to change it, she was the one who was like, Mijo. She saw a reading in LA, and she was like, I don't like that title. She's like, the title, like what it's about is dreams, sueños. Like that's the title. And I was like, Mom, why you gotta be so right? So shout out to her, and that's the title that has stood and stuck. And so the song Someday I think would be my I don't know, it's hard to say my favorite, but it's the one I'm most proud of, because it's everything I feel and everything I would like to say. And I think yeah, you write what you know.
For sure. For sure. I guess a quick question that's come out of this. What kind of royalties are you giving your mom for the name?
Well, she gave me her royalties when she passed. So, yeah, it's lots of love and gratitude and making sure we have our ofrenda up, so.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you all for coming on.
How moms know. Moms just know, and they are bluntly honest too, in the loveliest way possible.
Oh, 100%. Oh, 100%.
Well, thank you all for coming on today and introducing myself and the listeners to the show. So the next question is, how do people go get tickets? Where can people find more about the show and the production?
Yeah, you can go on to the Las Positas website, and there's a link there to the theater. I'll send. Does anybody have the link? I don't have the link actually. Sorry.
Pulling it up
in this part.
As we speak, if you visit Las Positas College, Suenos, you will have a direct link to purchase tickets. It's laspositas.ludus.com. We'll get you to the ticket link. And yeah, we run March 21st through the 30th.
Yeah, and there's only 6 performances. That's it. That's all you get to see. So make sure you tell your friends if you're not in the Bay Area in California, then tell your Bay Area fam and friends to try to get tickets to come see it.
Fantastic. Congratulations to all of you. It was great meeting the 4 of you. And Jesse, as always, it's great to talk to you and see you and see where your shows are going. It's awesome. Thank you all for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So like I said, if you are in California near the Las Positas College, March 21st to the 30th, check out this production of Suenos, our American musical. If I was, 3,000 miles and one border closer, I would be there, but I'm not. So somebody else sit in my seat for me. Again, thanks everybody. Tune in next week as we speak with another guest or guests about their life, love, and passion that is musical theater. I am your host as always, Jean-Paul Jovanov, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.